On this week's FPL Happy Hour,
Hit 10 episodes, the milestone, the little milestone.
Oh, I forgot my party poppers. Just forgot to blow a trumpet.
Hello and welcome to the 10th episode of our podcast, FPL Happy Hour, with me, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Rob, we've hit 10 episodes, the milestone, the little milestone.
Oh, I forgot my party poppers. Just forgot to blow a trumpet. Had to be careful what I was doing there.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. We saw a bit better football than we did last week,
Yeah,
and I'm obviously on a bit of a high from our amazing result on Sunday afternoon, and I'm sure you
yeah.
are too after the performance last night from West Ham. Um,
Well, performance-wise, we played shit, but that's the type of game that we would normally have lost last season,
hmm,
and we're kind of showing that we can play shit and still win, which a lot of the top sides can do and do.
yeah, I don't know how Leeds didn't actually. Well, they did put the ball in the back of the net twice, but there was so many chances for Bamford, especially last night, and I think on another night where luck isn't going your way, you lose like 4-2.
Yeah,
It was that sort of game. I thought it was really. I think up until um, the Spurs Palace game, the games were pretty awful. Like Saturday, I think that combined with lack of FPL involvement for a lot of people as well.
hmm
Like Saturday, I think I only had one player all day play. Um, but then, yeah, from the Spurs game and then the United game um, on Sunday, yeah, two really good games to watch there. The West Ham Leeds game was great to watch as well. Um, yeah, it was quite refreshing to have some reasonably exciting football. Um,
better than better than last week.
yeah, but for F on like an FPL side, probably mixed mixed reviews for a lot of people, especially with
Yeah,
the 2-0 United win. Lots of people gambling on City mainly, and then there was obviously the big saga in the FPL community at the sort of the conclusion of last week as we head towards the deadline, and it was the big Bruno or Salah no um,
yeah.
conundrum that lots of people had, and one of us went one way and the other one went the other, didn't they?
Indeed. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Before we do that, let's kind of go through what we're planning to do for this week's pod. So, we are doing two hot topics for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about defender options. With the emergence of some defenders coming through the ranks and City not having the best of defensive runs recently, we thought we'd do some stats and detailed analysis on the top six options to replace any City players that you might have defender wise or others. And this week, we thought we'd do a deep dive on captaincy because I think captaincy really this week is up in the air. There's no clear option. So we thought we'd do some detailed analysis on what we think are the best options. But yes, let's before that, Rob, let's go through our team. So do you want to head to yours first?
Yep. Yeah. So solid from Martinez and Sufal. Uh, yeah, clean sheets for both of them. Stones and Diaz. I'm not too worried about it because um, Man City defenders, loads of people have got them, and I'm reasonably confident that they could pick up a clean sheet tonight against Southampton. And then yeah, bit disappointed with Son. I think we didn't see enough of him getting into those forward positions. But yeah, you know, um, yeah, Souček. I was hoping to get a return off him. He came close a couple of times last night. So yeah, little bit disappointed. Bamford could have had, as I said a few minutes ago, could have had at least a brace last night. Calvert-Lewin, another disappointment. If it wasn't for the fixture this week against Burnley, I think he would be the first the first neck on the chopping block. Bruno, who I elected to keep into my team, and then prayed for some Bruno shithousery, and I was rewarded within 90 seconds. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I think it was about 4:10 on Sunday afternoon. I put a tweet out saying, yeah, now for some Bruno shithousery, and yeah,
You were rewarded.
Yeah, rewarded straight away, which was amazing. And then yeah, Kane, 2 goals, an assist, 2 bonus points, absolute haul from him. And slightly annoyed with myself that I decided to follow the herd on going with Gundogan when the gut said go with Kane. But yeah, the double game week always looks prettier, so just hoping now that Gundogan plays first of all. I think that's the first hurdle against Southampton, but then to maybe get a return or two as well would be great. I mean, he had a couple of good chances on Sunday, and we're still getting into those forward positions, sort of overlapping. As De Bruyne picks up the ball on the edge of the box, you see Gundogan sort of make that late run into the box, and De Bruyne's always trying to find him because he knows he can trust his finishing and not Gabriel Jesus. So fingers crossed, because I think City will get goals. There'll be part of me thinks that there'll be a bit of a point to prove against Southampton, and Pep will be sort of really, really want to sort of get them back on track as quick as possible. Because they don't want to have this dip in form and suddenly the 11-point gap becomes 8 points and then it becomes 5 points. I don't think that would happen, but yeah, Pep is the man that will make that not happen. So yeah, I think I'm up to about 111k now. So again, if all three of my City start tomorrow, I'll be confident of finishing in the top 100k for the first time this season.
Nice.
I think I'm on 60 points there or thereabouts as well. How did you get on?
Well, you seem to always be edging me by a few points every week, and you're making that gap bigger and bigger and bigger, aren't you,
like
mate?
it's a couple of players here and there, and it's
Yeah.
that's doing it. It's never like the big players. Although this week it was Salah versus Bruno. And
yeah, so I got 54 so far, with a -4. So I took out Bruno, and I took out Barnes, and I brought in Lingard and Son. So I captain Cancelo. So I'm really hoping that he plays against Southampton. Although my luck, and we can clip this now because it's bound to happen, Gundogan's going to haul and Cancelo's not going to play, and I'm going to get fucked. Like,
I think
that is bound to happen.
It's everyone at the moment, and it's one of the reasons we're going to talk a bit about defenders, because a lot of people out there are on double City defence and getting frustrated with the rotation and everything. And maybe that's like the rotation side of it is like another reason to maybe look elsewhere, especially with City going further into Europe. So carry on anyway.
So yeah, Martinez did what Martinez does, although he didn't get a double-digit haul, which
Didn't it go
is
from
surprising.
10 points to 9 points to 8 points to 7
7,
points?
yeah. It's like, what the fuck? So Stones, Cancelo, captain, Safal got me 6 points, and then Lingard with his mispen and then goal got me 5. Son 5, Gundogan 2, Salah 2, Lookman 3, and I chose to play Lookman over Calvert-Lewin actually because I thought Fulham would score against Liverpool, and they did. Just Lookman wasn't involved, so I was actually 1 point better off there. Kane 19 points, and then Bamford 2. So yeah, 54 minus 4, and I've got Cancelo, Stones, and Gundogan to play. So we'll see how that lands. Small red arrow from 325 to 330 K at the moment. So if Cancelo plays tomorrow, I'm confident that I'll get a green arrow. I just don't know whether or not he'll play.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one, isn't it, with City defence? But it could be a case that Pep plays almost his strongest team just to try and help the players forget about last week. Like play the strongest team, get a good result, and put last week to bed. But on the other hand, he could go, right, I'm going to rotate fucking everyone, and you end up with like Ake and Laporte at the back or something like that. Because Ake's back. Is he back fit? I think he was on the bench.
I think
On
he is
Sunday.
back fit now. I think he is back fit.
Yeah, so that's another concern for the defensive rotation because he wasn't doing too badly when he got injured. Or the only reason Stones came into the team was because Ake got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Stones started the season as third choice behind Laporte, Ake, to go alongside Diaz, and it's I think his form has kept him there, but the moment he makes a mistake, he's back out again, and I think with the fragility over the past few weeks of the City defence, which was shown by United the other day, Pep might make those changes. But we shall see. We shall see.
Right, so let's go through the first of our hot topics this week, which is defender options. And you've given a nice segue after what you were speaking about in regards to rotation. So as I spoke about earlier, and Rob alluded to, there are players, mainly the City defenders, that we do, coming on to game week 29, blank 29, and then around then, City are in Europe and we don't know whether or not it's best to keep double City defence or move. So we thought, well, let's give you some options in terms of who we could potentially replace him with. So what we've done is we've gone through, we've got 6 players for you, 6 that play in game week 3 that play in game week 29 and 3 that don't play in game week 29. So for those that are planning towards a wildcard 31 and are kind of bringing in players in for 29, we've got 3 players for you there. And other ones that, for those that have got free hit in 29 or aren't bothered about 29 and have already used their wildcard, we've got 3 players that you might want to focus on for longer term. So first off, we've got Aaron Cresswell, or should we call it Aaron Crosswell? Should I go through my 3 first, Rob?
I think that's what you've already started doing, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna. Okay. I'll sit and drink my beer.
Yeah, go for it. So Aaron Crosswell is 5.8 million, and I call him Crosswell just because he's all the time. But yeah, it's not that I don't think his name is Cresswell, because I know it's Cresswell. In case anyone's like, it's Cresswell, not Crosswell. He's 5.8 million, 25% owned, and actually he's a lot more owned than I thought he was. So I think he's one of the highest owned defenders in the game, if not the highest. 37 points in the last 6 game weeks, which is 6 points per 90, 6.17 per 90. Now this XGC is their goal, so West Ham's goal conceded. Now you might see that the City players, for example, that we've got them on the left-hand side for you to compare against, is different for each player, and that's because obviously some of them play, not all of them play every game, and not all of them play 90, for example. So this is from game week 22 to 27. And there are double game weeks included in that as well. So XGC for Cresswell is 6.14. Now, if you compare that with the City defenders, so Diaz, Stones, and Cancelo, it's between 5 and 6. So quite similar. West Ham have conceded 4 goals in that time versus Diaz, Stones, Cancelo 4, 5, and 6. Clean sheets, 3 clean sheets, and predicted to keep 1.95 clean sheets. XA, now this is where Cresswell is kind of head and shoulders above everyone else on here. And his XA is 2.28, which for a defender is really, really high. 11 key passes and 5 big chances created, huge amount of big chances created there. Considering the next highest defender, even on your list, is 2, that's more than double. He's had no big chances, no goals, but 2 assists, and he's projected to score 18 points over the next 5 game weeks. So what do you think of Aaron Cresswell, Rob?
I really like him. He's on all set pieces. He takes corners from both sides and free kicks.
Not all free kicks. Free kicks
depends
between
on him.
Yeah, depends.
Lingard, Rice, Ben Rama, I think jumps in as well.
Yeah, mainly him, Ben Rama, and Rice.
So I think it's those on the, like, if you're looking towards the goal on the right hand side where he can use his left foot to bend it in, I'm guessing. But yeah, he's one of these players that, like, in the last few years, he's kind of been at that price point of 5.8, where he's not really approachable if you wanted to have Trent and Robertson. But this season, where you've got that bit of money to spend in defence, because you've only got one. A lot of people have only got one premium. Some people, like those that have got Diaz and Cancelo, obviously you've got your 2 premiums. Like Cresswell as well might be a bit too much. So he's been like a more valid option this year with how poorly Liverpool have played. I really like him as an option. The 11 key passes and the 5 big chances created. Is a huge upside to him. He makes a lot of opportunities, and then he also, like, from his set pieces, like corners especially, he's always a danger because of the players that they've got in the box waiting on the end of them. Like, we've seen how good Dawson has been recently in the air for them. Souček as well throughout the season. Just 2 people that have benefited from Aaron Cresswell's crosses. Cresswell's crosses. Well,
yeah. From my point of view as a West Ham fan, he's just been a breath of fresh air this year. Like, I think at the beginning of the season, a lot of West Ham fans, and me included, to be fair, kind of wrote him off as a kind of, I guess, has been to a certain degree, because over the seasons he's been done really well for us, but the last couple he hasn't. And then he came into the beginning of the season when we were playing a back 5 and he was playing, left centre back. He did really, really well. And then obviously as Masuaku got injured, then he, and we reverted to a back 4. He went obviously into left back. But yeah, I think, his crossing ability is just pinpoint. And when you've got the likes of Dawson and Souček in the side who are really, really strong from that point of view. You know, I think between us and Chelsea, I can't remember who's first and second now, but we've scored the most from set pieces this season. I remember it was us and Chelsea, but I haven't seen the latest figures, but we're up there. And I think Cresswell is really a good option. He's a bit expensive at 5.8, but I think if you, with his output, you know, if you look at his output, 37 points, and you compare that to Cancelo 24, Stones 31, Diaz 29, I think he's up there. He plays in game week 29 as well, which is really important. And then the last 5 games at the end of the season, for those, you know, who have used their wild card, are really strong. You know, our games towards the end of the season are really good, and he's nailed. And that's, I think, the most important thing is that he's nailed over the 3 City players. So that is Aaron Cresswell. Let's move on to the next one, who is Lewis Dunk, who should have had a goal a couple of game weeks ago.
We should have put 2 under goals and just put a little asterisk on it. Yeah,
that's it. 4.9 million, an ownership of 5.8, so really low owned. 27 points, 4.5 points per 90, and an XGC of 5.14, which when I saw these figures, was really surprised about. His XGC is the second lowest behind Chelsea. Chelsea's really good on our list. And I always kind of saw Brighton as an open team who, you know, give a lot of chances away, but actually this doesn't suggest that at all. Goals conceded 6. I guess their problem is they just can't score them. Clean sheets, they've kept 2 clean sheets. 2 clean sheets with a. And he's got an XA of 0.33, 4 key passes. From an attacking threat point of view, I don't, you know, the stats don't really show that he's got too much attacking threat. You know, no, he's had, was he had 2 1 goal. One goal, yeah, 1 goal in the last 6 weeks, no assists. What do you think about Dunk from an attacking point of view? I mean, he likes to do those cheeky little free kicks, doesn't he? That he got away with a couple of years ago against Liverpool, and he nearly got away with it against West Brom. He's predicted to score 16 points over the next 5.
So I think with Lewis Dunk, I think you're not buying him for attacking threats. You're buying him as a cheap enabler. Like if you were downgrading one of your City players to someone for the sake of blank game week 29, he's a good cheap enabler if you needed a bit of extra cash to bump someone in midfield up to Son or even Bale. Although everyone will have a lot of money kicking about, but they might not want, like, you don't want to be, like, if you've kept Salah, you're probably planning to keep Salah now through to your wild card in 31. So you don't really want to be selling him to then go and buy him back, unless you want to sell him in 29 to bring Bruno in after in 30 for, I think it's West Brom at home that United have got. But with Brighton, they just, in the last sort of five games. Sorry, I'm just bringing up their form table. So, like, they've conceded 6 in the last 5, but they have looked a lot sort of safer than that. Like, like on against Leicester, when they went 1-0 up, I thought, oh, that's it, game over. And it was sort of 2 very well worked goals to get Leicester the win. But yeah, up until probably the game at the weekend, they were probably one of the top teams in the form tables, and like their expected goals against in the last 5 games is only 4 goals, which shows that and that's one of the best. That's only bettered by Chelsea in the last 5 games, who are 2 goals. Like City's expected goals against 5. So yeah, I'd like to. I think he's someone. Yeah, you're not bringing him in for the attacking returns. You're going for someone that, when you look at the fixture in 29, where they've got Newcastle at home, and it's just with Newcastle, St. Maximin injured again.
Mm-hmm.
No Callum Wilson.
They've got no one.
They've got Andy Carroll, and Joel Linton.
It doesn't suit their new system, to be fair.
Yeah, and Joel Linton. Well, does Steve Bruce have a system?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think out of all of the games in 29, I think that Brighton have probably got one of the highest chances of keeping a clean sheet.
Agreed.
Like Arsenal, West Ham, goals in that. Villa, Spurs, goals in that. Fulham, Leeds at the moment, that could be a really good game. Could be an absolute goal fest. So yeah, I'd think that I'd be very, very confident of in 29 Brighton versus Newcastle being like 1-0 Brighton, and walking away with Lewis Dunk clean sheet would be ideal in what's going to be a low scoring week. I think if the average is probably going to be around 35 to 40 in realistically, isn't it? If not less.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can take 6 points from one player and maybe even squeeze out a bonus point as well, I think you're laughing in that week, especially as he's going to be still relatively low owned as well, whilst other players that are playing that week, like Cresswell, Target, Reguilon's another one that I thought we could have talked about tonight, but wanted to keep it to 3. But yeah, they're like a lot of teams are just going to have those players. So having a little differential in there could work.
Yeah. So the next player is Target, who is 5 million. Ownership of 14%, 28 points over the last 6, which is 4 points per 90. Aston Villa have an XGC of 9.16, but have conceded 6 goals. Clean sheets, they've kept 4 clean sheets in that time, which is interesting considering that they've got an XGC of 9.16, which is one of the highest, yet still kept 4 clean sheets, which is one of the highest. It's Martinez, right?
Yeah, one thing to say about that, and that's the Emmy factor. He's been unbelievable for them, hasn't he? Especially in it was the Brighton game, wasn't it? When he just went fucking insane, and was making saves left, right, and centre. And I think the only thing with Matt Target is since Grealish has been out, he's been kind of isolated down that left-hand side, whereas before he was getting forward a lot. Now he's tending to get himself stuck on the left side and hasn't got an outlet, and he's finding it a lot harder to get the space that he was when Grealish was there, and he was able to make those overlapping runs, either inside or outside of Grealish, to create chances. Because remember, we had a look at Matt Target probably around mid-January time, and yeah, his heat maps were ridiculous, and he was moving well up the pitch, and yeah, he's since that injury, it's probably cost him a little bit, and it kind of shows in his numbers here. Because I was expecting them to be a lot higher from the last last 6 game weeks.
Okay, so that is so his projected points is 18 as well over the next 6. Right, so those are the 3 players for that play in 29. Now, my personal opinion, and it does really depend on your strategy and how you want, how many players you are bringing in, how many defenders you're bringing in for that game week. If my preference personally would be number 1 Dunk. I think Dunk, like you said, it's got plum fixture against Newcastle. I would personally think about bringing in Dunk, followed by Cresswell. Those are my 2 options. But it depends how many players you already have in your squad that play in 29, and if you're getting to like 9 or 10 players, how many defenders do you want? Do you want 3 defenders or do you want 2 defenders, for example? So that's all. It all depends on your personal strategy. But the top 2 for me are Dunk and Cresswell.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for 29.
Yeah,
not
for those that play in 29.
Yeah, I mean Target as well. He's got the hardest fixture out of the 3 of them. Yeah, Spurs at home. Yeah, it does make sense. But yeah, I think Dunk's my number 1. Cresswell's got the slightly harder fixture against Arsenal, and then Target.
Right, so down to you, Rob. So you're now going to look at 3 players that don't play in 29, but you might still want to consider them as options, especially for those that are free hitting in 29 or have already used their wildcard. And the first player's numbers are just staggering, to be honest with you. But I'll let you talk about.
So the first hero is Hero. He's the first hero. Is my hero from the weekend, rewarded for a run of fine performances, and he managed to get himself a goal, and that's Luke Shaw, priced at 5.1 and an ownership of 11.3%. I think he went over the 10% threshold probably at some point yesterday or on Sunday, probably as soon as he scored, because I think he was about 7 or 8% on Saturday morning. So in the last 6 game weeks, he scored 46 points at 7.08 points per 90. Like he plays pretty much 90 minutes every game as well. He always looks absolutely shagged at the end of it. But yeah, he does put in a shift. Expected goals conceded for the last 6 is 7.95 for him. Actual goals conceded is 5. Expected clean sheets is 2.24 and actual clean sheets is 3. United picking up their 3rd clean sheet in a row on Sunday. Slightly better to watch than the previous 2 clean sheets, though, against Chelsea and Palace. But that's, I mean, another interesting thing was, the fact that 2 of those 3 clean sheets here against 2 teams that are in the top 4. So, expected assists 1.61. I was actually thought it was going to be a little bit more. Key passes 20.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like that is ridiculous compared to
That's
everyone
where
else.
he will play the ball into Rashford, into Bruno, into Cavani, into Martial. I think he actually played the pass to Martial that led to the penalty on Sunday.
Right.
But those little balls like that, where he's playing the ball into a forward who's in a dangerous position, I think that probably classes as a key pass. Big chances created 2. Although he's only created 2 big chances, but has 4 assists.
Yeah.
And 1 goal. He's had 0 big chances because he's an elite finisher, and he managed to score that goal without it being a big chance the other day. It was a. I think I'm not sure whether it was slightly scuffed or he was trying to pull it into that corner like that. But yeah, it was a good goal. His projection for the next 5 game weeks is 15, but obviously that includes
the blank.
Yeah, projection of 0 for game week 29. But absolutely amazing figures from a player that's still only 5.1 million and plays for a top 4 team. Like if you look at Stones at Man City, he's the cheapest defender and he's 5.3. I think Luke Shaw is probably going to be name number 3 or 4, probably not name number 1 or 2 on my wild card in 31.
Yeah, I think he's coming in for me on my wild card
because he's at that price where he's just so he's just such an option to bring in. He's really impressed me, like on the eye. The stats back it up. He's avoided injuries, which is great to see. Like in the past, he's put little runs like he has in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. He's put those little runs in sort of in the first couple of months of the season, then got an injury that's ruled him out for a long period of time. He's managed to avoid that, and I think he's slowly playing his way. I think he's on the plane to the Euros for England. I think he's slowly playing his way into Southgate's first 11. Especially with Chilwell being left on the bench a lot recently. He's kind of been outshone by Marcus Alonso at Chelsea. Like people were talking up Cresswell as well. Like James Justin would have been another one that people were talking about, but I think his injury has just come at the wrong time. So I think he'll miss out the Euros. But I think later this week, would it be later this week or would it be next week? Southgate will name his squad for the friendlies, won't he? And I fully expect Aaron Cresswell and Luke Shaw to be 2 of the names in that squad.
I'd be surprised if Cresswell was named.
I think he will. I think he'll name him.
I'd be surprised if Cresswell was named.
Because it's 2 friendlies and they've got more friendlies at the end of May. I think Southgate will use the opportunity to give Cresswell a chance to see how he gets on with the squad. Because if Chilwell can't break back into that Chelsea team, Southgate can't take him. Not with what he's standards he set himself in the last 4 years that he's been in charge of England. He's kind of always said, "I'll only take players that are playing," and Chilwell wasn't playing. Simple as that. Anyway, so Luke Shaw, I think we're both agreed, fantastic option. This
definitely.
I think the only concern is the running. Like United don't have like a string of good fixtures. They have it's almost alternate weeks where they'll have good fixtures. The other side of the blank, where they've got Brighton at home, then they've got Tottenham away, Burnley at home, Leeds away, Liverpool at home, and it's kind of very up and down with how their fixtures will play out from 30 onwards. Next up is Rudiger from Chelsea. Only 4.6 million, 4.3% ownership. But I can see him rising. He looks like he's, apart from last night when he was on the bench, but I think it was Tuchel giving him a rest. He's kind of worked his way into Tuchel's lineup since he's come in. 28 points in the last 5 game weeks at 4.67 per 90. Expected goals conceded 3.96, which is the best out of any of our options. Goals conceded 2, which again, best out of any of the options. Expected clean sheets of 2.88, but actual clean sheets is 4, better than anyone else. But obviously, as a centre half, his attacking stats aren't going to be great. Expected assists 0.13, key passes just the 1. No big chances created, no goals, no assists, and a projection of 14 points at the moment. But that will be mainly because of his lack of minutes throughout the season. But in my opinion, another decent option, especially with the fixtures Chelsea have got on the flip side of the blank game week.
Yeah, I think with Rudiger, the main thing, I guess, that firstly the advantage is he's playing with on the Chelsea side that's keeping clean sheets for fun at the moment. I think he was rested in midweek. Hopefully, he comes back in the side, but you never know with Tuchel at the moment. He seems to be irregular, but let's see. That 4.6 million is a fucking bargain. Like for generally a regular centre back for Chelsea. The only concern for him, 2 concerns, is 1, he doesn't really get bonus points. It's 6 points, and that's it. And as you can see from the attacking threat, he doesn't have any. So unless he gets the odd header from a corner, which he might get, I don't know, once or twice a season, you're not really going to get any attacking returns, and you're not really going to get any bonus points. So that's kind of the only concerns with Rudiger. But for 4.6 million, you can't really complain, right?
No, you can have him in your team rather than like if you wanted to keep Emi Martinez in your team, but you don't want to double up on Villa's defense.
Yeah.
Like target to Rudiger is it's actually a move that is improving your squad, but you're cutting half
From
of
game
it.
week 30 or 31,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
After 29.
yeah. But and then you're cutting your value by 6 million.
Yeah.
Like you've got not 6 million, 0.6 million. So
Yeah.
you've got like some extra cash to spend elsewhere, and maybe look into like that could be something that is the difference between 2 premiums and 3 premiums in your midfield if you've still got Harry Kane up front. As simple as that. So yeah, he's again another name that is on my list for my wild card in game week 31.
Okay.
If
So
not, he
let's.
might actually come in for game week 30. Chelsea got a good fixture then.
Right. So let's hear your last option then, Rob.
So the last one is Luca Dean of Everton at 6.2 million, 10% owned. In the last 6 game weeks, 32 FPL points at 4 per 90, which isn't great at all. Expected goals conceded 13.86, of
Ridiculous.
which goals conceded is 11. Expected clean sheets 1.45, the worst. Clean sheets 3, so on the par with United and City assets. But expected assists 1.02, 6 key passes, 2 big chances created, 0 actual big chances or goals, and 2 assists, and 14 projected points for the next 5. I was shocked, is a word for seeing the stats on Everton defence.
Yeah, it was pretty
Recently.
shocking.
But I mean, we have seen they have had a bit of an improvement in form from Jordan Pickford, but they have had like a few really poor results recently in the last 6 game weeks that haven't looked good on the defence. I think after the performance as well last night against Chelsea, where they just looked very flat, I'm not too sure on Luca Dean at the moment, especially at 6.2 million. Not when I could have Cancelo for the same price, who looks a lot
Or
more,
Luke Shaw.
or Luke Shaw for $1 million cheaper,
Yeah.
or Rudiger for like 2.5 million cheaper, or 1.5
Yeah.
million cheaper.
1.5.
It's at the moment not for me. Although, he has been a danger. If James Rodriguez isn't there, he takes set pieces. He does get forward. He has a license to get forward. And I think with Richarlison moving inside more, Dean's got that license to move further forward. But I think that has actually kind of affected Everton's shape in a way where Dean's getting forward more and it's left them a bit open at the back. Maybe their holding midfielders just not disciplined enough to do the job that you see at other clubs like Liverpool last year. You had Trent and Robbo bombing up, and you've got Fabinho and Henderson like providing that cover when they're bombing forward, and that's maybe to his detriment. So I think, if you're bringing Dean in, you're going to get the odd assist here and there, maybe the odd goal when they get free kicks and stuff, but I think you're almost starting with a 1 pointer.
Yeah, I think the time to bring in Dean, if you were going to bring in Dean, was a few weeks ago before their double game week, and the potential of there being a double game week in 28. But now that double game week doesn't look like it's happening. So yeah, I don't think Dean is an option for me.
Yeah, he was someone that I probably would have gone. My original plan was to go in 28, go from one City defender, like remove one City defender to bring in Dean for the double, and then move on to someone else in 29 that plays in 29 as my way out of having the double City defence. But yeah, it just doesn't look like that was the right move. And then like after the blank, they've got Palace at home. Like Zaha could cause them some problems. He looked good against Spurs. He looked up for it. Then they got Brighton away, tricky fixture. Then Spurs at home, Arsenal away, Villa at home. And you'd think by 34 when they play Villa, Villa. Grealish could still be injured. Like Dean Smith might still not know, or he might still be waiting to talk to the doctors about Jack Grealish. But you'd expect him to be playing then, and Villa to be back on firing all cylinders, and they could they're still Villa's still there or thereabouts in the hunt for Europe, aren't they? They've got the games in hand, so
yeah,
that'll be a very tricky fixture come 34. I think Villa will. So yeah, Everton. Not. If I was going to take assets from Everton, it would be, probably only one asset now. Moving forward, I definitely wouldn't be looking at a defender. But the reason I put him in there was because I know he's highly owned. It was a good thing of comparing him to some other assets out there.
Right. So those are some detailed analysis on some defenders for you to have a choose from. If you are thinking about taking any of the Man City defenders, or just in general, just want to swap some of your defenders around, what we'll do is, Rob, we can, after the pod, put this on our Twitter. So if anyone wants to have a look at it in any detail, because I know when you're listening to a pod, especially for those on podcasts rather than on video, it's a lot of information to take in and understand, especially if you're not seeing the graphics. So we'll put it on Twitter, and then you guys can have a look at it in detail yourself. Right, so let's move on to our next topic, which is captaincy. Right, so we've got 4 main options for you with regards to captaincy that we've looked at. We've also got a couple of extra differentials that we'll go through at the end. I'll go through 2 first, and then Rob will go through 2. So the first 2 that I've got is Bruno and Salah. So Bruno is playing West Ham. So Man United playing West Ham, and Salah is playing Wolves. In terms of Bruno, so obviously a lot of people have taken Bruno out this week, including myself. His price is 11.5, huge ownership at 57%, and his points over the last 6 game weeks is 61, so highest in the league actually for that. Points per 90 is 8.73, 18 shots, 6 of them in the box, 22 touches in the box, an XG of 3.27, an XA of 2.14, 17 key passes, which is massive, 4 chances created, 3 big chances, but the most important numbers, 5 goals and 3 assists, and he's expected to score 31 points over the next 5. Now, obviously, we're just looking at 1 game week. One other important stat to stick out for you here is XGC for the team that they're playing against. So obviously Bruno is playing West Ham. West Ham have an XGC of 6.41 over the last 6 game weeks, and they've only conceded 4 goals. Now, that, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't have Bruno, but if I had Bruno, that would be putting me off. But then, you know, Bruno only needs a penalty within the first minute, and he's already got you 11 points, as we saw on Sunday against City. So Bruno is a really good option. I don't know what the paper says that. What do you think, Rob, as a United fan?
Yeah, I mean, as a Bruno owner, I think I've got a sort of little bit of a quandary as to who I'm going to captain this week. But my thoughts are with 2 players that we're going to talk about, one of them being Bruno. I think it's the West Ham defence just look a lot stronger. I mean, yeah, they gave away a lot of good chances yesterday, but against United now, like they'll sit back at Old Trafford, and United have found it tricky to break teams down when they're sitting back. If Pogba's back for the weekend, like if Ollie turns round on Saturday or Friday or Saturday, whenever his conference is, and says, Paul will be, because it's never he'll be on the bench, it's he'll start with Paul Pogba, and if he starts, I think I'd probably captain Bruno, because I think Bruno will play as a false 9, and he'd be a huge option. He will, if West Ham play like they did last night, he'll get chances, and he'll put them away. But yeah, I think he's very likely to be top captain this week, but purely because the casuals that like go and look who's scored the most points. Oh, Bruno, who's he playing? Oh, West Ham. Like on the FPL app, I think it's like a fixture difficulty of 3 out of 5 still, like a medium fixture, when it should really be a 2 maybe. And yeah,
or a 1.
Or a 1. West Ham at home. Yeah, it's a tough fixture.
Mate,
Actually, I say this now. I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna lay off of it, because if I try and talk us up too much, you go and spank us, and then the pod next week's gonna be horrible. So I might captain him, but I probably won't. But purely
some
because
news on that game as well that we'll talk to you about at the end of the pod.
But I think, we'll talk about a certain Spurs striker shortly, but I think I'm leaning towards him rather than Bruno this week.
Okay, right. Salah is the next option. 12.5 million, ownership of 36%, total points 25, FPL points per 93.74, 17 shots, of which 13 were in the box, 38 touches in the box, which is really high out of all the captaincy options. 3.61 XG, so still producing high XG. An XA of 1.16, 5 key passes, 1 chance created, and 7 big chances, which is huge, but only 2 goals and no assists over the last 6. Now, Liverpool look shit at the moment, in a word, but Salah's still getting chances, 7 big chances. The problem is that, can they get that cohesion together against what people say is a sturdy Wolves team? However, their XGC says otherwise. So Wolves' XGC over the last 6 game weeks is 11.86, conceding 7 goals. So high XGC. And if I'm honest with you, I still have Salah in my team. At the moment, I'm edging towards Salah as my captaincy. Liverpool haven't been performing at home, but they have been doing okay away. So right now I'm leaning towards Salah, and to be honest, I think that's going to be a differential captaincy. I don't think many people will be choosing Salah as captain against what they perceive as a sturdy Wolves side, but Wolves' XGC is shit. It's just whether or not Liverpool can work together and pull it off.
He's going to need, I think his effective ownership this week will probably be around the 100% mark. 30% of his owners captain him. If he stays at 36%, it's going to be around that. I think like Bruno will probably be 150%, which is pretty standard for him. Kane will probably be around 120 to 150%, probably. Salah, I think, probably be only around the 100 mark, which is unheard of. Like,
I think it'll be less than that
against Sheffield United. It'd be. I think it's probably the best opportunity to captain Mohamed Salah that you would have had in the past 3 years.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I'm not gonna,
because
that's why I'm thinking.
If you captain him and he returns, you're going to make a gain, and that doesn't happen normally.
Well, if you have him in your side and you don't captain him, I think the better wording for that is if you have him in your side and you don't captain him, you're going to gain because his ownership is going to be less than 100% in my opinion. And if you captain him, you're going to smash it.
I mean, doesn't that lead you to then? I mean, it depends on probably your rank and how you want to attack the week. If you really want to be aggressive this week, especially ahead of the blank, there's not going to be many points to be gained next week in blank game week 29. Let's try and gain some points here and try and improve that OR, which then next week you can then hopefully hold and then move into 31, hit your wild card, and then be aggressive towards the end of the season. Yeah, maybe it's the time to get aggressive.
If you want to conserve your rank, similar to your position, Rob, you want to enter the top 100k. The best captaincy for you this week is probably Bruno because I think he'll be the highest owned, and that's who someone like you would want to go with. When I say someone like you, I mean someone that is not a maverick and doesn't really take massive risks and kind of wants to do it easy, slowly.
It's working though. It's working.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But someone like me, 330k rank. I want to get to number 1 in the world next week. Do you know what I mean? Not literally, but that's kind of like I just want to go for it. I think this is like you say, the best opportunity in the last 3 years of captaining Salah, where I don't think many people will, and I think it's a really good option, especially in a week where captaincy is massively open. So yeah. Anyway, right, let's move on to your two options, mate.
So yeah, I've got Jamie Vardy to start with. 10.2 million, 19.7% owned. Only the 18 points in his last 6 game weeks. But he would have probably been injured for a couple of those. Works out 3.38 points per 90. So a little, probably just around about what Salah's got as his. 11 shots, 10 shots in the box, 24 touches in the box, an XG of 1.93, an XA of 0.36. 1 key pass, 0 big chances created, 4 big chances, 1 goal and 1 assist. Both of which, did they both come at the weekend? I think they both came at the weekend or in the last couple of game weeks. It's it doesn't scream captaincy at me at the moment.
I think the only reason we included this was because they're playing Sheffield United, right?
Yeah.
And so Sheffield United, they've got an XGC of 15.12 over the last 6 weeks, conceding 11 goals, which is massive.
So it's a plum fixture for them. My concerns are still with the creative side of Leicester. I mean, we saw Tielemans with his no-look pass the other day against Brighton, but I think they are they're missing the likes of Maddison and Barnes, and they're going to struggle more and more and more. And Vardy hasn't been great anyway since he came back from injury. I think
Do you know who I really like at the moment for Leicester? And I think he fits well at the moment with is Iheanacho.
Yeah,
because he does really well in a 2.
Didn't we when we spoke about Leicester assets a while ago? Like we said, I think Iheanacho, that was his first goal of the Premier League this season at the weekend. And he'd only scored like a couple of times in the Europa League, but it was a great finish. It was a confident finish.
He's a good finisher, mate. He is a good finisher.
But we hadn't seen that when Vardy was out.
It's because he can't play by himself up top. He gets confidence from playing in the 2.
Yeah. It'll be interesting
5.6 million.
Whether Vardy becomes that more creative player, maybe, and sort of drops in a bit deeper, or whether he still heads up as the front man. It's interesting, but at the moment, I think, Vardy. I think he's currently 19.7% owned. I can't see his effective ownership being anything over 30-40%. He's not going to have enough people captaining him at the moment. So not for me at the moment. I do want Leicester are a side that I do want to keep an eye on, because if I do need to free up a bit of money and want to move Kane down to someone, then it can easily be Vardy. Or if I want to go with 2 premium forwards, I might want to move to Vardy at a later point from Bamford and Calvert-Lewin. We'll talk about what I'm planning to do with him. Not for me as a captain this week, but definitely the fixture does scream captaincy, but probably not with some of the other fixtures around him. And then last but not least, Harry Kane in the North London derby, which he is the top scorer in its 130 or 40 year history.
Really?
Yes, he is, with 11 goals in 14 appearances against Arsenal, which is a great record. I think he is a great option, especially with the way we've seen Spurs in the last couple of weeks. He looks like he's found his confidence. I mean, his first goal, was it the first one? Yeah, the first one from like 25 yards out the other day. Absolutely beautiful strike, curling it into the far post from that range. Like the technique was just brilliant. And he looks like he's back to his best, creating as well as scoring. So yeah, 37.3% ownership, 39 points in the last 6 weeks, 6.62 points per 90, which is brilliant. Second best only to Bruno, third best in the league to Gareth Bale. 26 shots, 16 shots in the box, 27 touches in the box, an XG of 3.51, an XA of 1.68, 10 key passes, 2 big chances created, 6 big chances, 4 goals,
Wow.
2 assists, and projected points for the next 5 game weeks is 32.
The numbers are there. The only thing is, I don't know if he would haul
in
that type of fixture.
Although the last North London derby, it was goal and assist.
Yeah, that's true.
He got a goal and assist, and I think Son got a goal and assist, and yeah, I'd definitely take that. Goal, like we say it all the time, Kane gets a goal, it's free bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless Bale also gets a goal. Because if Kane gets a goal, then Bale gets 2 at the moment. It's. I think I'm on another coin flip. Last week it was Bruno or Salah, and this week it's Kane or Bruno. I don't know. I might be going with Bruno, but I'm going to be looking at Harry Kane all the way up to deadline, like wanting to captain him. And it might be purely out of protecting my rank, not to captain him.
We've got a couple of other differential options in here. We've got, and these are mainly because of the teams that they're facing. So for Giroud, so for Chelsea, we've got Giroud, who stats wise, there's no point going through the stats because the stats aren't great. But I think Werner's an option as well. I mean, we haven't got the stats for Werner here, but I think Werner is an option. I think he's going to go mad one of these days.
One of these days next year.
Yeah, that is the thing. I don't think either of them are worth bringing in to captain just because they don't play in 29, but also it depends how you're set up. I mean, Werner could potentially be an option if you want him longer term, but that's obviously something that you've got to work out because I think Chelsea's fixtures aren't that bad over the next few. And then we've got Richarlison, and Richarlison are playing Burnley. And the reason why we think that they're an option is because Burnley's defence is also shit at the moment. So Burnley have got an XGC of 10.1 and they've conceded 10. And Leeds have got an XGC of 10.57 and they've conceded 10 as well. So both those defences have conceded 10 goals in the last 6 game weeks. Richarlison is 9.6% owned. So again, another good option, but he doesn't pay in 29. So yeah, those are our best captaincies. Is there anything else to add on captaincies or those differentials there for you, Rob?
No, I mean you could throw in a few others like Bale, Son.
We didn't talk about City either, and I think that's because the main reason we didn't is because Fulham are playing a lot better recently, and I don't think.
I don't think you wouldn't captain a City defender over any of the other players. You
or attacker.
And yeah, you wouldn't you wouldn't like a lot of people have Gundogan. You wouldn't captain him over the ones available against Fulham. KDB, like 4 or 5 months ago, yes, you would have captained them all day long against Fulham, but not with how impressive Fulham were at Anfield on Sunday afternoon, and with the potential rotation as well. It's just not for me at the moment. Like I think it will be a very low scoring game, that City Fulham one, and
Yeah, I agree.
Fulham could steal a point. I'll say
I
it
think
now.
they'll win.
You think they'll win? You
I
think
think
they'll
they'll win.
you? Oh my God! Don't say it.
No, I genuinely,
The gap could.
I think.
So you think the gap will be 8 points
I think
when
they'll
we
beat
beat West Ham?
No, because we're going to beat you, so it
It'll
won't
still
be
be
as
11
high as that,
points.
right? Yeah.
Imagine that, 8 points going into Sunday night. Well, like at the end of the game week, and a gap of 8 points would just be incredible. But it'll be great for the league.
Yes.
But yeah, I can't see City losing. I could see them dropping a point now. So yeah, gap of 9 points.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered it in terms of captaincy, and those are our two main topics. We did have a question from David this week that asked about City defenders. So we had one question. He said, "How many City defenders will you have if you wildcard in 30-31?" I think that's a really good question. I'm probably still going to go with at least one, probably one. I think I'm going to have two. I'm going to go with two City players. I'll have to have a look in more detail. It also depends whether or not they've wrapped up the league by then. You know, if they have a couple of losses between now and 31, so or they drop some points, then they might still need to play really well in the league, right? In which case you'll probably want more City players. If they've wrapped up the league and, when United lose this weekend to West Ham, and if City beat Fulham, then if it's too big of a gap, then I think that rules out some City defenders. I don't know what you think.
I think in 31, I'll probably have one City player. It'll probably be Kevin De Bruyne, because they also blank in 33. But they could have a double game week announced in. No, they haven't got any doubles in the bank still. Yeah, 33. They blank, so I don't want to have too many because so the Fulham, so the Spurs. Like I'll probably want to have either Sunbale or Kane still in my team by 33. I think just because of the blank game week, it's going to force my hand a little bit with just the one City asset, whether it be a defender or midfielder. I mean, I'm partly looking at KDB because of the fixture against Leeds. He could go absolutely crazy, and then they've got Villa away where he could also do well. So, but then in 34 after the blank, they've got Palace, which is another great fixture. So, I mean, yeah, I'd like to have more, but
I
for
think
the
you've got to
sake
see
of
how
my
the next
team,
few weeks go.
pardon?
I think you have to see how the next few weeks
Yeah,
go before you can judge. I don't think it's a question you can answer right now.
yeah. I think at the moment it's one, maybe two, but it could turn into zero. Like if we see that they wrap up the league in, like say if United drop points and City win at the weekend, then it's a 14-point gap, and then like the week after that, City play Leicester and United play Brighton. if the same thing happens, City win, United drop points, it could be a 17-point gap, and that's it. Title's pretty much over then.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and then if City is still in Europe, you're not. I think for FPL, if City is still in Europe, you're actually almost better off just going without if they've kept this lead in the league, because they're just going to be there's going to be rotation all over the place. That's their holy grail, isn't it?
Indeed. Are we doing a live stream this week, Rob?
I think we kind of have to. We've got the 5v5, so we'll probably do maybe Thursday night after Champman.
Yeah.
Get together, do quick final review of how we've done this week, of the City Southampton game. We can do the Planner versus Sham. What else? Do some Q&A on like last minute decisions ahead of game week 28. Yeah, late on Thursday, because it's I
Late
think
on Thursday.
yeah, it's
10:30.
yeah. So Champman finish at 10:30. So yeah, we'll go live shortly afterwards because it's a 6:30 deadline on Friday evening. So there's just no time on Friday to do it.
Okay, cool. So a couple of public service announcements. So firstly, obviously, as Rob has said, we're going to be live streaming on Thursday at 10:30 after Champman. So please join us.
We just made that up there and then.
Just made it up. The second is next week. We have FPL General coming to join us on either Monday or Tuesday night, which will be out with you either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, depending on when we do it. I'm sure you've all heard of FPL General. He's a very good friend of mine, and I'm a patron of his as well. He's a great a great guy, and he'll be helping us with planning for game week 29, blank game week. We'll be looking at some drafts for free hitters, and then we'll be talking a little bit about wildcard as well. I think that's kind of the plan for next week. And then the final thing to say is, see, Man United and West Ham are playing on Sunday, and me and Rob were thinking about doing a watch along on like Google Meet or Zoom. It's not to be aired on YouTube or anything like that. Just a private thing for whoever wants to join. We did it for the FA Cup game. We had about 7 of us, and it was quite good. We really enjoyed it.
It was good to sit and chat to like other people as if you were kind of at the pub watching the football.
Yeah, it was good.
Someone different than trying to chat football with the missus.
Yeah, exactly. So if any of you if that sounds good and you would like to watch us, we'll send you watch the game with us, not watch us. Drop us a message on Twitter. Our DMs are open. We'll send you a Google Meet link, and you can join in and we can watch the game together and obviously talk and have a chat and and just have some fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully for me.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Yes. So other than that, I guess we'll speak to you on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. We are a new pod, so any feedback is really important. You can find us on Twitter at FPL_Happy Hour. We're also on a number of podcasts, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and our YouTube channel is FPL Happy Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share. Your retweets on Twitter are really appreciated. And until Thursday, we'll speak to you soon. Good luck for tomorrow's game.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.